Hi everyone, Raquel here from Scrapcosy. Today I'll share with you the third card I've prepared for the mini-series of videos that I've called Christmas Cards Ideas. This is the shorter version of the video. There is a longer version, link on the screen right now, for more details and a more relaxed view. The idea for this card was to use fabric remnants and metal pieces as my main materials, but with no sewing, except for a tiny bit on the buttons. Okay, let's get cozy and warm, grab a cup of tea if you want, and let's see how to make this easy winter card. So I pulled a lot of fabric remnants in my table and then I decided which ones I wanted to work with. I know what I want to do for the centerpiece and that's what I'm doing. I'm marking with a pencil, a square, and I'm gonna cut it. I'm going to stencil on top of it with some Grunge Paste. But first I'm cutting it to make sure that it fits that rectangle. So Grunge Paste for the stenciling and embossing powder, frosted crystal. I'm going to attach that piece of fabric to my table with some double-sided tape adhesive, making sure that it's actually a rectangle. And now I'm going to attach my stencil to my table with 2 pieces of tape. I'm moving the Grunge Paste a little bit to make it fluffy, and then I'm going to put that on top of the winter word. And that's ready. And I'm going to put that piece of fabric now onto a piece of white gray board, which also has that double-sided adhesive. And while it's wet, I'm going to apply the embossing powder. The remaining goes into that piece of paper and back to the jar. I heat set it with the heat tool, and then I'm going to attach that piece of fabric to my label. And for that I'm using Distress Collage medium. I make sure that there is no piece of fabric showing anywhere. And I'm going to clean that medium that it's appearing there. And then I'll set it aside. This is how it looks. I like it very much. And I use this technique in another video which I'll link now. So that's the composition that I like. Now I'm going to put it aside on the same order so I know where everything goes. And I'll work on those 2 first pieces. To attach everything I'm going to use Mod Podge. This is a glue. I'm going to put a little bit on a container and close the lid so it doesn't get dry. So I work on the first part. I'm putting the fabric there, pressing, and then I'll turn and attach those ends and hide everything. No need for sewing. I'm cleaning everything to make sure that my fabric stays clean out of glue. Although this glue will dry matte, so if you get a little bit, it will not be seen so much. So I'm folding one part with the glue, and then I'll work on the corners a little bit. So instead of cutting, I'm just folding, pressing down, and more glue on top of the fabric. Now I'll work on the other side, same thing. Glue first, then the corner, folding it a little bit. And then I fold everything and apply glue on top. And that's the bottom part done. So I'll repeat the same on the top, cleaning my surface very well. And for this one I decided to check what was the actual excess that I wanted, and then I put with a pencil where I needed to put the fabric at the very bottom, let's say. That was easier to measure. I pressed down and I did the same as before. Glue on one side, press down, working on the corners, fold, and more glue. Now we are going to put the centerpiece. Same thing, glue, the fabric, press down, and hide those corners. All this will be attached later into a card base, so it will be hidden and you won't see that. And now I'm going to put up and down 2 pieces of lace with the pointy bits, one up, the other one down. So I'm making here like a symmetric pattern, or symmetric design rather. And now I'm going to fold that bit to also hit everything. More glue, and then I'll work on those 2 pieces. I'm going to attach that ribbon with the stars with this sari. The sari has lots of loose ends and I want to hide that, so I'm just putting a little bit of glue and I'm sticking that part there. So now that becomes a single piece, and I'll repeat the same for the top part. So just a little bit of glue on top of that ribbon, and then part of the sari goes there and everything will be hidden. Now I'm going to put some gauze there in the middle. That will pretend that gets out of those two holes from the label. So I'm going to put some glue over there and just press it down. And I'm making it thinner on the places that the label would touch and a bit wider on the other side. This will give me a lot of texture as well, because it's kind of something more loose than the rest of the fabrics that I've put so far. And it will take a while to dry. Now I'm going to put some glue there to stick the label in the middle. And now I'm going to work on the top and bottom part, but before attaching this I'm going to see where the stars need to go. Well, where everything needs to go basically. So I like it, and then I'll arrange the stars and put them in. These stars have 5 legs, and we need to make holes to pass them through. For that I'm putting a piece of cotton dry foam and I'm using a needle and I'm perforating through the legs basically, very close. So I make holes and I help the stars to actually pass through to the other side. And once every leg is on the other side, then I press with the scissors and fold them. And that will make sure that my stars don't move. I prefer to actually use a mechanical solution to actually make sure that my embellishments don't move, rather than just using glue. So this is a perfect embellishment to actually add into any project, and I like it very much. So again, I'm repeating the same. I'm perforating the 5 holes very close to the legs of the star, making sure that it passes through, and folding them. So I'll repeat this same process for the six stars, but you don't need to see it because it's very repetitive. So let's go and see how it looks. First I'm going to attach that goes over there, so I'm finishing that end that it was still pending to be done. And now yes, let's see how everything looks with the 6 stars done. Now I'm going to put 2 brads. I'm using that tool to poke some holes over there, and then I'll just pass the brads through and open their legs on the other side. Again, this is a mechanical solution to make sure that the label doesn't move. And okay, it's also nice. I like the finish of this, but it's also just to keep it in place. And the final thing will be to actually attach those. So I'm going to put glue on the ribbon with stars, which is more sturdy and sticks better. And I'm going to put it there, but just leaving some margin because I think it will look nicer. And then I'll put some glue as well there in the base and hide the other part of the sari. The sari takes a bit longer to dry, but still it will dry, so don't worry. And I'm not pushing it a lot because I want some volume over there. So as I did with every single fabric, I'm just making sure that I have enough glue on the back and folding the fabrics and more glue on the top. And if something is too small or something is too difficult, you can always attach temporarily something like a peg or a clip, like I will do after this one. And once it's dry, it will not move anymore. So I repeat the same, more glue on both sides, hiding everything, and then back to the back door. Let's see. I'm folding it, pressing down, more glue, and the same on the other side. And that's all basically with the glue. So since I have some leftovers, what I'm going to do is basically put it back into the big pot. It's okay still to be used. And now I'm putting a clip there to make sure that that part dries very well. And the final step is going to be putting there the buttons. You could still use glue And if I was using glue, I would use again the Distress Collage medium, but instead of that I prefer to use that thread. That thread is kind of gold or brass, and it matches very well with the embellishments that I normally use. I actually, when somebody orders something from me in Etsy, I include a piece of that with some embellishments by way of goodies. And I hope, well, I don't know if they do it, but that it's used for this purpose basically. So I perforated a little bit there, making sure that I had a hole, and then I'm doing a knot and I'm attaching that with a piece of tape to the back of my card. This is how I start basically sewing. And then I will do a cross on the bottom, and I don't need more than those stitches that I will be doing here. Now from the front I'm making the hole, but I'm removing the needle and then going back to the back and now passing through. So by doing it from the front, I know where the hole will be, so it will be much easier to pass the needle from the back to the front. And I don't cut the thread, I just go and move to the next button. So again, I'm using that piece of foam to protect my table and to make sure that I use it well. And then with the thread, I did the first hole, went back and passed it through. And again, doing the X. Pressing hard. And again, from the front, I can tell now where my hole is, and I'll do the stitch. So basically I'll repeat the same for the 4 different buttons. And once I'm finished with all of them, you'll see that the thread makes like a C or a U in my card because I haven't cut it until the very end. And when I reach the end, I basically just do some knots to make sure that it doesn't move. So I pass the needle through the different parts over there, try to make a note as I can, and then still I secure it as the very first part of the thread with a little bit of tape. And because my buttons were a bit loose, what I'm going to do is apply some tension between them, and for that I'm just pulling the threads and again using tape to make sure that I stick them there, and that will make them stay in place very thoroughly basically. Now I'm going to do the card base. Since this card is very big, I need to attach 2 pieces together. So I'm just marking there a flap, and then I will stick them together using that flap. So I'm using the ATG gun and I'm putting those pieces together like this. And now I have a base. So I'm just going to attach that into the card front. So I'm putting the glue on the base, which is much easier than the other way around. And then I'm going to stick it. So that was all for today. I hope you enjoyed this card. I really love how it turned out. Actually, I love it so much that I may detach it from the card base and turn it into a cover for a winter diary. Would you do that too? Or would you prefer to keep it as a card? Let me know in the comment section below if you want. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up so I know you like this sort of projects. So different from what I've done so far. If you'd like to see more hints and tips and a more relaxed crafting time, you can watch the longer version of this video. The link is on the screen right now. And I'll also link to the previous videos in the Christmas Cards Ideas mini-series at the very end. There is one more video to come, so if you don't want to miss it, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the ring bell button, so YouTube will let you know when my next video is up. I've included in the description of the video the list of all supplies I could find in Amazon. These are affiliated links, which means that if you enter in Amazon using these links and end up buying something, whatever, even if you buy a mattress at the end, trust me, it happened once, I would get a small amount at no extra cost for you. So this is a way for you to support my channel if you want to. Okay, no more talking. Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!